into a more extended example. So just to set this up a little bit, the flow we're going to be looking at is basically I'm going to pretend that I'm a customer support manager and I've got a collection of data, and the data represents call transcripts between my agents and my customers. So let's go ahead and just import that into Restructured. So I'm going to select this file of text content. And if we look at the individual data points here, basically I've got short transcripts between an agent and customer. And they might exchange some basic information, go through an issue they're trying to resolve. And maybe it gets resolved, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's escalated or not. But there's enough data here that I can do some analysis on my team's performance and what's causing pain points for our customers. And are they leaving with a negative impression of the company? What's the general status and health of this team and how they're relating with our customer base? So to get started with that analysis, let's go ahead and extract some data from this text. So I've got these 250 calls. I'm going to do an extraction on the content of these calls. And the first thing I'm going to do is just get a very short summary. So I'm going to ask Restructured to just get a one-sentence summary of the call. Now, before I extract on all 250 data points, I can also preview what the extraction is going to look like as a validation step. And I can see here, this based on the text that's behind here, this looks like a pretty accurate representation of the call. So I'm going to go ahead and extract that. And this will now run for all 250 data points. This could be 2,000 or 20,000 for that matter. Just have a small example for the purpose of this demo. But this is real-time extractions happening. So now with these short summaries, I want to basically categorize the types of issues that are captured here, because I kind of want to know, what's actually causing issues for my team and how am I going to improve it. But I don't really want to look through all this data, but this is something that LLM is very good at. So I'm just going to ask the LLM to categorize these issues into a small number of categories. I'll let the LLM decide how many it should. And then I'm going to ask it to just give me back a comma-separated list. Okay, and it's given me some suggestions for categorization here. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this data here, and I'm actually going to apply that categorization. So on the conversation content itself, I'm going to classify this, and I'm going to call this issue type, and I'm just going to drop in my list of issue types. And now if I apply this, it'll go through and basically classify the best sort of description of each call. Let's see, I'll also get a few other pieces of information here. So, something basic, I might just want to know the name of the agent involved. So maybe I can see if there's particular issues with certain agents on the team. So I'll go ahead and extract that as well. Just get the agent name. And there's a few sort of Boolean values I want to extract for the purposes of analysis. So I want to know whether an issue was escalated and also whether it was resolved. So I'm going to go ahead and do those. And based on the phrasing of the extraction, Restructured will interpret the correct response type and make sure that it's consistent in the extraction. So for escalated, I'm going to ask it to get whether the issue was escalated. Run this. And I'm also going to likewise check for the resolve status and get whether the issue was resolved on the call. And I'll run that extraction as well. Maybe final simple extraction I might want to do is just classify the general sentiment of the customer based on the conversation here. So I'll do that as a classification as well. And I'll just generally group it into they had a positive, negative, or neutral experience. And I might provide some instructions just so it's clear what the meaning of this here is. So I'll say, get the sentiment of the customer towards the agent and company, and run that classification as well. So I've taken just a set of transcripts, and I've got a pretty decent collection of structured data that I can now export if I want for other purposes, or I can do some analysis inside the app here. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So one thing I might want to know is what issue types are being escalated, or which issue types are just being reported more. So I can ask for plot the distribution of issue types in a pie chart. And Restructured will interpret this as I want to plot. It'll generate the code, which I can inspect, and generate the final plot. So I can see delivery and exchange and returns are sort of coming up as persistent issues. Likewise, I can ask it to show the number of escalated issues by type. So I can just see as a raw count, which issues are causing our agents to spend the most time on. So it looks like these two are also actually escalated the most often as well. In addition, I could, for a specific agent, maybe see how this is being handled by them. So as sort of my baseline, maybe I can ask for plot the distribution of customer sentiment. And then after I have that data, I can compare for a specific agent to get kind of a comparison. So this is my distribution. I can save it off for analysis later. And this is available to me so I can make some public dashboards, and these will update as I put new data into our system. But with that saved, let me go grab that and say for agent, or let's say for issues handled by agent Sarah. Okay, and from this baseline, this agent is actually really in line with the average sentiment. So my impression is that there's no outlier here for how they're handling calls and the sentiment that customers are leaving with. As a final example that's more complex, I'm going to copy this prompt in just because it's a bit longer, and then walk through it. But basically, going to ask, you're the head. Pretend Restructured, you're the head of customer support. You're me, basically. Analyze the data in this table provided, and I want to have a detailed report outputted to me that I can show to my leadership team. And I want to focus on the status of the support tickets and basically my team's performance in handling these tickets. And I want to include KPIs that I've captured in the structured table below. So if I execute that query, I should now have Restructured start to generate natural language response for me. That's going to get this template for reports, but also insert real data from this table. So I've got the total number of tickets handled, the resolution rate on the call, as well as escalation. So basically focusing on what I've identified as important to me for my data. In addition, I've got some detailed analysis, but also some next steps for areas of improvement that I can focus on to improve my metrics. So it seems like a lot of cases are not being resolved at the first level. So there's probably training that needs to happen on returns and delivery type issues. So this is basically taking, in this case, text data, give me some structured output that I can work with, and I might have some real outputs that I can have update with real data live, but I've also got now a database started that kind of defines the schema of my problem.